Hey, this is Trader Travis, and in this video training, what I want to do is talk about option trading for a living and share some of the things that you need to consider before you take that leap and dive headfirst into the realm of self-employment. Now, when you watch this training, it's going to give you a good gauge on whether option trading, is a suitable career path for you. Also reveal some of the questions that you're going to absolutely need to answer if you want to successfully trade on a full-time basis. And so I hope you enjoy this sobering reality, because learning from my mistakes is going to save you years of heartache and thousands of dollars. And so once you watch this video training, it's going to give you a realistic perspective and a realistic approach to trading for a living. But before I talk about that realistic approach, let me reveal what most people view as successful option trading. You check your trades once a day and you have no more commute to work, unless you count the few steps it takes to get to your home office. You can see your kids when they get home from school. You can work in your pajamas, or you can work naked if you want to. You can sleep in whenever you want. Ultimately, you have enough money to take care of your family, and you no longer stress about paying bills. It's a rock star lifestyle, and your neighbors envy you. Maybe you've envisioned trading for a living where you spend 5 to 10 minutes placing your trades for the day, and then you can take the rest of the day off because you only need to check on your trades a few times a day, or you can just check the prices on your smartphone if you're not at home. At this point, you can take your significant other out to lunch or have a picnic at the park. Then go to the movies because, it's not crowded on the weekdays. Afterwards, you can surprise your kids by volunteering at their school. Of course, you're doing this so you can spy on them. And as always, you get the usual stares from people as they wonder why you're always off during the day. Ultimately, you're set for life financially, as you have a skill that allows you to make money no matter what the stock market does. Or better yet, maybe you've envisioned trading options for a living to mean you trade from a laptop from the balcony of your beachfront condo, or maybe at your lakeside cabin. Your trades continue to work for you. You don't have to be present to make money like you do at your job. You have enough money to not only take care of your loved ones, but enough to also give back and tie them to worthy causes. You can help those who are truly in need, not those pretending to be in need. Am I close? Because that's how I used to think about it. And once we wake up from this dream world, the questions start pouring in. And most of these questions have depends answers, but I'll do my best to address them. And here are some of the questions that I'm usually asked. How much time is needed to learn a skill? Well, that really depends. I will say this: you will get out of it what you put into it. The more time you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. Ultimately, I would say maybe on average about 5 hours a week. However, if you don't have 5 hours a week, then guess what? Be realistic to your schedule. Maybe you only have an hour a week. And that way, just learn as much as you can. Use whatever time you have to learn the skill. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Another question I receive is, what is the learning curve? Well, I can't speak on everyone, but I will say this. I had a vague understanding of investing when I first learned about option trading, and I stayed dazed and confused for like 6 months when I first started learning. Literally, none of it made sense to me. But I kept my head in the material and I kept learning it, and then 6 months later, it's like a light bulb went off and everything started sinking in. How much can you earn each month? Well, man, that really is an impossible question to answer. But surprisingly, it's a question I get asked a lot. You know what? How much are you starting with? What's your skill level? The income potential is unlimited with most investing, but that unlimited potential is sometimes eluding. So this one, it's just one of those impossible questions to answer. And as we get more into this video, you'll see, you kind of get a formula you can follow to kind of give an estimate of how much you can earn each month. Is there any max amount of money to be earned? No, it's not. What limitations are there? This is a tough one because I'm not sure what this person meant by limitations, but I can just do the ones that are on the top of my mind right now, and that's limitations as far as opening up an account. A lot of people don't get their account approved to trade options because your broker requires you or would like for you to have more experience. And so a lot of people have trouble working around that. Other limitations could be your actual broker's trading platform. Not all brokers specialize in options trading. So you kind of want to pick a broker that is at least familiar with options trading or specializes in it, because I've heard of horror stories about people not getting their orders filled or their broker's platform not having on the bells and whistles that a lot of us have as an option trader. Does online stock option trading have any benefits over other things like Forex? This I'm not sure about, as I've never traded Forex, but I can compare it to stock trading. Everyone knows that as a stock trader, the more money you start with, the more you can make. The same applies with options trading. You can't escape the laws of gravity just because you're trading options. I will say, though, options trading has a lower initial barrier to entry, meaning that you can start off with a smaller dollar amount and do okay. And that's why a lot of people are attracted to options trading, because they approach it knowing that they don't have to have a ton of money. There are trades I've made where I've invested, $80, and yet I went on to make, $200, maybe $300 with that $80 trade. And that's a little bit harder to do with stock trading in the same time frame that you could do with options trading. Is trading options for a living possible for regular people who aren't professional traders? Yes, it is. I'm about as regular as you can get. Should you quit your job to be a full-time trader? I would say absolutely not. How much time is needed to actually trade? Well, it really depends. Not much if you're following a trend following system like I do. I might spend 20 minutes or so, give or take, to look for my trades, and then a few minutes each night to manage them. Sometimes more, sometimes less. 20 minutes is just a good rule of thumb on average. Now that I've addressed some of the questions that people usually ask me, let me reveal the more important questions you need to answer before you quit your day job. Online stock option trading is a serious business, and it needs to be treated as such. And so if you don't know the answers to these questions, you're going to have a high chance of failing as an options trader. When people say, can I trade options for a living? Well, it really depends on your lifestyle. Do you need a McMansion that costs $500,000, or will a 3,000 square foot home that costs only $200,000 do just fine? And since we're talking about home prices, do you live in California or a small town with a population of less than 2,000 people? Do you need to drive a Porsche, or will a used Honda Accord do? Do you have any debt, and if so, how much? Do you have 4 college tuitions and marriages to pay for? The amount you need depends on what your expenses are. And since we're on the topic of expenses, how much do you need to make each month in order to pay your expenses, add to your trading account, and also add to your savings account? And when we say expenses, we mean health insurance, taxes, food, housing, debts, travel, and a host of other expenses that most people have. Now, this figure is vitally important because that dollar figure is what you'll be replacing, and be sure to overestimate by about 10 to 20%. Historically, what is the average yearly percent return you've made trading options? And this is not someone else's, okay? People like to say, well, what's your yearly percent return? They try to base their calculations off of mine. You can't do that. It has to be based on your own results, and here's why. We could be using the same options trading system, and we'll have 2 entirely different results. Why? Because we're 2 different people with 2 different psychological makeups. Okay, so I'm going to use the system a little bit different and approach the market a little bit different than you. You're also going to need to trade in both a bull and bear market. All right, you need to have a realistic percent return that encompasses both market cycles. Bear markets on average come along about every 3 years, so you're at least looking at about 5 years or more to get this average yearly percent return. And why do we need to know this yearly percent return? Because you're going to back your way into a realistic starting point. For example, if you need to make $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year, and you can make 20% return on investment a year, that means you're going to need at least a $300,000 account size. And this is if you trade your whole account, which I don't think you do because it's not wise. Okay, what if we have another terrorist attack or a flash crash? The market closes and you have your whole account tied up in trades. I can promise you won't be happy. You won't be a happy person whenever the market reopens the next day or the next week whenever it reopens. How much are you starting with? This is important because how much you start with determines how much you finish with. You start out with too small of an account, and an uphill battle may be too much for you to handle. Now, small is relative, so let me give you my definition. If you're just learning, anything less than $5,000, I think it's too stressful. I say $10,000 to $30,000 would be a better starting point. And if you want to give full-time trading a try, I'd say start with at least $100,000 plus, most likely double that. But to be conservative, let's say $100,000. And here's why. Let's say you're starting with $100,000 and you can make 20% return on investment a year. That means you're going to make $20,000 a year. All right. So you're going to have to be able to pay all of your expenses. And remember, we're talking about health insurance, taxes, food, housing, debts, travel, all that. Add to your trading account and also put money in savings. You're going to have to do all of that on $1,666 a month. And can you do that? If you can, great. If not, keep your day job. And this is also assuming you're trading your entire account, which you shouldn't do. You should always keep some of your money in cash just in case. Now, when you're starting out, you have no frame of reference. You have no clue how much you can earn on your money. So in my opinion, it's naive at best to think you can just quit your job and be a full-time trader. Now, ask me how I know. Ask me about all the stupid and idiotic things I've done to gain the wisdom I have now. So please give these questions some serious thought. Do you have enough option trading strategies to trade in any market environment?